Hello class, today's topic is principles of irrigation scheduling. As we know that irrigation is applying water to any plant. Why it is necessary? As we know that there is a gaseous and water loss through transpiration. This is the one major cause of irrigation, the need of irrigation, that transpiration is the movement of water from roots to leaf and the loss of gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide. To compensate that water loss, we do irrigate plants to support the plant photosynthesis, metabolism, and their respiration. Now, the basic principle of irrigation scheduling from a soil water view are first is soil moisture, as we have studied soil moisture and we know the importance of soil moisture, but the sample chosen should be the most representative of the field. So we have to choose different sites for taking samples to know the soil's moisture content. This is very important to know to schedule the irrigation. How much water is needed by the soil is depicted by the soil moisture content. For precision irrigation, where watering can be controlled in smaller areas within the field, more monitors would be needed and both better and poorer soils would need to be monitored. So if the crops need is uh, different for different sites within the field, the moisture content determination will help in this. Second is root zone depth. Root zone depth is the zone where most of the root structure is found. This varies with here it is an example of potato, but any kind of crop it is variable. So where how much the depth of root is very important in deciding the scheduling of irrigation. Now third is water holding parameter. Now water holding parameter has two measurements. First is the fill point, that is the wettest a soil can be before water drains below the root zone. So how much water can be filled on the soil before the irrigation water drains below the root zone? It is very important to know. This would be near 100% field capacity. So the fill point is field capacity. How much water should be on the soil before the water drains below the root zone? So we know that we need water only to the root zone. Below the root zone, the water would be wasted. So the fill point is the amount of water irrigated before water drains below the root zone. Now, its capacity depends on the soil texture. In general, we know that sandy soil have the lowest field capacity, while silt loam have the highest, with clay being intermediate. So we know that the particle size and the granulation matters. The refill point is the driest a soil can be before daily water use is lowered due to too little water in the root zone. So, first watering and second watering. The time difference between first watering and second watering will be decided by the drying of soil within the root zone. This begins to induce the shutting of stomatas. If root zone is dried, we can't afford the drying of the root zone. Why? Because it will induce the shutting of the stomatas, which will result in the reduction of carbohydrate synthesis, that is photosynthesis, and the respiration, the metabolism process, and it will lead to wilting. Wilting means loss of water, the death of the partial death of the leaves. So we can't afford the partial death of the leaves. So wilting, the loss of water, we can't afford. So we have to decide the time between first watering to second watering that root zone is not dried, so that the photosynthesis and metabolism go easily. Now, the difference between field capacity and the 40% depreciation is allowable depletion, amount of water, and this example is for potato, but we can see this figure and understand this this is the allowable depletion, that is we can see the green zone means depletion 100%. This bar is 100% depletion of water in the root zone. So 40% of the depletion is having the green color because it is the allowable depletion, that is AD, available water area managed by irrigation. So after 40% the deficit of water begins, and the pink zone, after 40% the pink zone you can see, and you can imagine if the whole bar is 100% and this green zone is 40%, then you can see 40 to 60% the pink zone, that is the deficit zone is there, and in this zone the photosynthesis slowed down, and after 60% you can see the red zone is there, which is the wilting point, means start of drying of the leaves, means the loss of water will be there from the leaves, and the stomata will not be working where the wilting is there. Now you can see the last 10% is unavailable water, so the plant death will be there. So you can see the allowable depletion is 40%. Now fourth is effective irrigation. Now what is effective irrigation? Effective irrigation is amount of water that actually gets into root zone and is available to the plant. Some of the irrigation water is lost as runoff, evaporation, or deep percolation. We know that percolation means the going of water below the root zone, where it is called as runoff because it is just wasted, and if water is evaporated it is also wasted. So amount of water that is available to the plant for photosynthesis and respiration is only the effective irrigation water. Now, daily water use. Daily water usage, here it is the example of potato. It is dependent for any other crop. It is dependent on growth stage of plant. Environmental condition of that particular day is directly related to the canopy development. What is the canopy? Canopy is the shoot. The part of shoot in the plant is known as canopy. So, how much amount of canopy is developed, this decides the daily water usage with the environmental conditions of that day. Mostly leaves which contain nearly all the stomatas. Environmental conditions that affect daily water use are air temperature, relative humidity means the amount of moisture in the air, the wind, the speed of wind obviously will trigger the evaporation, and the solar radiation, how much effective the solar radiation is there. An excellent guide to daily water usage is the evapotranspiration, that is abbreviated as capital ET, the evapotranspiration data, which is calculated by the weather station data. And how it is used. ET is the total daily water use from both transpiration by the plant and evaporation by the soil, and can be as high as a third of an inch in a day for any crop. So, this takes into account both sides, the plant evaporation as well as the soil evaporation. And so it is a very useful tool, the evapotranspiration data. So you can understand for any crop how it works. It needs to be adjusted for canopy size or row closure, the seed bed which we know. So there are so many types of calculating ET, but we have to know the concept that ET data is used, and for every crop it is different. Now, in summary, the key factors in managing irrigation are how much water gets into the soil first, then how much water the soil can hold, that means the type of soil, and how much water being used by the plant, that is effective irrigation. So these three key factors decide the scheduling, the time between first irrigation and second irrigation. I think it is clear. If you have any query, post it in the private comment box.